In this video, we're going to run the test user login test method, and we're going to see if it works. But before we can run the test user login method, we will need to make sure that our web service application is running, and then we will need to run test create user method so that the user record is first created, and then we can use those login credentials in our test user login method. So let me first run the mobile app WS service, my web services application. I'll select the application, do right mouse click, run as Spring Boot app, bring up console and check if application is starting. Yes, it's about to start. Here we go, it has started. Now I will go to test create user and I will run this test method so that a user with email address provided here and password is created first. So I'm going to do right mouse click and then run this as JUnit test. Okay, test method is successful, and this means that we now have a user in our database with email address provided here and password. So for me to be able to successfully log in, I need to use the email address and password provided here in my test user login method. And these are the email address that I'm going to use, and this is the password that I'm going to use. So these two must match the credentials, the login credentials provided here. Okay, so now I should be able to run this method and see if it works. Although I know that it will fail, because for us to be able to successfully log in, we will need to first verify user's email address. So let's try running it and then see if it passes. Okay, we have a red bar, the test is not successful. Now we will need to verify the email address. Remember, during the login process in our web service API, we required user to check their email and click on the link to verify their email address before they can log in. So there are two ways. I can either go to my email and click on the link, or I can use my database to update the record. So let me open the browser window. Here's my browser window, and I will open up my localhost /h2 console. I'll log in into my database, and I will select all records from users, and I have currently one record, and the email verification status is false. This is why I cannot log in. Now if I update this from false to true, assuming that email verification is successful, so we'll update users set, and then I will select email verification status field so that I don't make a typo, equals true, like this, where let's say ID equals 1. This is the ID, and so that I don't update more records than needed, I will update only one that has ID equal to 1. Okay, now I'll select the query and I will run this selected query. The query is successful. Now I will select all from users again, and the email verification status is now true. So if I run my test method now, I should be able to log in and get back authorization header and user ID header. So let's run this test method one more time. Run as JUnit test. And here we go. This time the bar is green and the test is passing, which means that we have the authorization header and the user ID that are provided and not null. And remember that if you want to check the status of your request and response, you can always go to a console here and look up at the details in your console. So the ones that have two greater than signs are the outgoing details, and the ones that have less than signs are incoming details. And I see that the headers, we have here the receiving response part, the authorization header, the bearer, and then the JSON web token is here, and the user ID header is also here. So everything is working. Our login rest assured test is working. We can run it again, and we can run it as many times as we need until we restart our application. and our database is clean. Okay, so now we have two unit tests, one to create user, and this test is passing and is working, and we have the test user login, which is also working and passing. Let's continue and let's add a few more tests.